Good afternoon to you. 506 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we are making sense of the news. Coming up this hour, we'll talk to two of the Gold Star parents this week. Christy Shamblin will be with us, the mother-in-law to Marine Sergeant Nicole G., and Darin Hoover, the father of Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, about their experience this week with President Trump at Arlington and what they think of all of this media craziness attacking President Trump for doing that event. And you can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Well, as if you needed proof, we get a letter this week from Mark Zuckerberg sent to the Judiciary Committee, chaired by Congressman Jim Jordan, declaring that, yes, indeed, that Facebook censored Americans and interfered in the 2020 election and interfered in conversations around COVID, and we're not going to do it anymore, is the way that he presents all of this. He said there's a lot of talk right now around how the U.S. government interacts with companies like Meta, and I want to be clear about our position. Our platforms are for everyone, he says. We're about promoting speech and helping people connect in a safe and secure way. As a part of this, we regularly hear from governments around the world and others with various concerns around public discourse and public safety. He then points back to 2021, and he says that senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire jokes, and expressed a lot of frustration when our teams didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, says Zuckerberg, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today, he writes. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly we shouldn't compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. Let me pause on that concept for a moment. Facebook banished the Hunter Biden saga ahead of the 2020 election. That was to help Joe Biden. That was done at the behest of Tony Blinken, the 51 intelligence officials, the FBI working to advance that. That was garbage, and Facebook sided with it. To the Democrats' advantage. And then additionally, what you're hearing about is what they did during COVID. They crushed the people who questioned the government that was controlled by the Democrats. They also say that he says, in a separate situation, the FBI warned us about a potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family and Burisma in the lead up to the 2020 election. That fall, when we saw a New York Post story reporting on corruption allegations involving then Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's family, we sent that story to fact checkers for review and temporarily demoted it while waiting for a reply. He says, it has since been made clear the reporting was not Russian disinformation. Let me emphasize one other point. The FBI knew it wasn't Russian disinformation. They had the laptop. They lied using your money and resources and got a big tech company to censor your conversations in that news. For more on this, the man who acquired this letter from Mark Zuckerberg joins us now. Congressman Jim Jordan is on the phone. Congressman, good to have you with us, sir. Thank you.
Good to be with you, Vince. Thanks for all you do.
This is a meaningful letter, I think. I mean, it puts together some of the things that we've heard him say over time in public. What does it tell you, Mark Zuckerberg admitting that Facebook did meddle in the 2020 election and did censor American conversations around COVID?
Well, the quick takeaway is we were right. I mean, but we were at the time. It's like, they're censoring the story. They pre-bunked it. We learned that from a year or so ago when the Twitter Files guys, Taibbi and Schellenberger, testified. And they used the term pre-bunking. They told them all summer long. Our government meeting with big tech said, be on the lookout. We expect a Russian disinformation operation to happen. It might involve Hunter Biden. It could involve, and Shazam, it happens. And so they did it. So the short takeaways were right. I think there were four kind of key points in Mr. Zuckerberg's letter. One, the Biden-Harris administration pressured Facebook to censor. Two, they did in fact censor, and conservatives that they did this to predominantly. And then three, they throttled back the Hunter Biden story based on what we just talked about. And then four, no more Zuckerbucks are going to be spent in these key cities, key boards of elections around the country, which is good too. So 4 kind of key takeaways. But I think the big takeaway is, we were right when we talked about this. And like you said, our government knew about the laptop, for goodness sake. They had it there. They knew it was real, and yet let the country believe and let big tech censor information that we're entitled to have in literally just a couple weeks before the most important election we have, which is for commander-in-chief.
I've seen some lefties respond to this week and suggest that, that's ridiculous. So in other words, it was Trump's FBI who meddled to steal the election from him. Ha, ha, ha. That's the claim that they're making. But I would say that, aren't they pointing to some deep corruption if you have government agencies working against the duly elected president of the United States?
Yes. I mean, the way our system works is the people who put their name on the ballot are supposed to make the decision, not Fauci, not some people in the, quote, deep state or bureaucracy working with big tech to limit what we see. I mean, it's scary. So but it wasn't just, look, once the Biden administration got in, they ramped it up. Because on the third day, the reason why Robert F. Kennedy just endorsed President Trump is largely this censorship issue. The third day of the Biden administration, January 23rd, 2021, there's an email from the executive office of the president. Clark Humphrey emails Twitter and says, take down this tweet ASAP. And the tweet is one from RFK Jr. And the tweet has like 2 or 3 sentences, and it says, Hank Aaron died after taking the vaccine. He took the vaccine as a way to encourage other black Americans to get vaccinated. Those statements are accurate. They're true statements. There's nothing false in there, and yet they wanted it taken down because of the message it conveyed to we the people. That is frightening. And RFK, he said this in his endorsement of President Trump last week, and he said it when he testified in front of our committee, because I had him come in and testify about a year ago, and he said, when history never looks kindly on the people who are pushing censorship. Those aren't the good guys in history. That is so true, and yet that's what the left now is embracing, is this censorship industrial complex, as Taibbi and Schellenberger have labeled it. So this is important stuff. You take away the First Amendment, free speech rights, and had the disinformation governance board like the Biden administration and Harris administration tried to put on us. That's scary where that goes.
And they're showing no signs of backing down. I see today that one of the people captured in these emails from the Biden White House who was pressuring Facebook to censor American citizens, stop them seeing Tucker Carlson content, stop them seeing RFK Jr., was a guy called Rob Flaherty. He was the former director of digital strategy, that is, at the White House. Now he's Kamala Harris's deputy campaign manager?
Yeah, he worked for the Biden campaign, then worked for the White House. Now he's working for Harris. So, and we actually had this guy testify. He wouldn't answer squat when he came in front of a hearing, when we had him in a hearing. But, yeah, he's on a lot of these emails that are going out pressuring big tech to censor, and it's always censoring conservatives, never the other way from these guys.
So this letter that you just received this week from Mark Zuckerberg, do you find it credible? Do you think that they're going to meaningfully change things? Or is this just an effort to get you and other members of Congress to back off on scrutinizing them?
Well, I mean, who knows for sure? But I do know we deposed 12 different people from Facebook, from line level, employees, all the way up to Sir Nick Clegg, who's the number 3 guy at Facebook or at Meta, former deputy prime minister for in Great Britain. So we weren't going to stop. We were keeping going. And I think it's like, okay, we're going to send you a letter. Hopefully this will just come clean with everything. Right. But I do think there's a new, you see what's happening in Europe. And then you see what Elon Musk has done in support of the First Amendment. God bless him for doing it. I do think we're making a difference. I mean, you saw where GARM, 3 weeks ago, this organization GARM, Global Alliance for Responsible Media, it was frankly anything but. It was a way to censor tell companies don't put ads on your show or on Breitbart or on this platform or on Fox News or on this website. And it was all done to go after conservatives. And we had a hearing. After the hearing, one of the guys who testified, it was the CEO of the largest advertising agency in the country. He got fired. We weren't trying to get him fired, but that happened afterwards. And then, of course, GARM announces they're discontinuing their operation. They're going out of business in essence. So there's a lot of this going on, but I do sense a change happening. And so much of it was when the Twitter files, when Musk bought Twitter, we got the Twitter files information, and then our committee did investigations. And we did the YouTube files, the Facebook files, the Amazon files. Amazon was censoring books. basically keeping books from, getting out there that was a conservative point of view. So all this has been tremendously helpful. And, of course, RFK Jr. and his endorsement of President Trump, I think, is based almost entirely on this attack on the First Amendment.
Well, and you're right to point out what's going on in Europe, because it looks like among all of Western civilization, protecting free speech right now is the minority view among the leaders. Because in Europe, it's gone. I mean, they just arrested in France the Telegram CEO, Pavel Durov. They held him in custody for days without even charging him. Today, they finally put some charges on him, and it's not about his own sins. It's about other people committing sins using his platform. So this is the direction this is all headed, Congressman Jordan.
Scary. It's scary. One of the witnesses we've had in our committee come testify, and I've had more Democrats. Think about this, man. We had RFK come testify. RFK Jr. come testify. Democrats made a motion to kick him out of the committee, and I'm like, his name is Kennedy. Holy cow! Like we've had Tulsi come testify. We've had journalists. One of them we had was a lady from Canada, and she was so good. She covered the truckers when Canada went after the truckers and free speech up there. I can't remember her name right now, but she was so powerful. She said the hallmark of Western civilization is the ability to have debate, to have full-fledged debate where you make your best argument, I make my best argument, and then let's settle our differences via debate. Because if you don't do it that way, the alternative is scary, and no one wants to go there.
Yes.
No one wants. We want to have debate. That's why we have the First Amendment's about robust debate. Let's settle our differences. And I so value liberals. I've had more Democrats come testify than probably any Republican chairman, maybe, I don't know, in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Because what I care about is people who embrace the First Amendment. And they used to be Democrats did. And now, unfortunately, the left, which controls their party, doesn't. They're trying to squelch free speech.
And they're criminalizing it. So let me end on this, because this is another election meddling topic that I wanted to raise with you, Congressman Jim Jordan, which is that Jack Smith yesterday filed what they're referring to as the superseding indictment. He rewrote his indictment against President Trump, accusing him of because he was skeptical of the 2020 election, he therefore needs to be charged. What do you make of this, including the fact that at least one federal judge has said Jack Smith isn't even constitutionally a special counsel? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, Eileen Cannon said you're not even allowed to do this because you weren't confirmed by the Senate, for goodness sake. So I think this is just more lawfare, more of the left reaching, more of the left going after President Trump. They've been doing it for 8 years now, all the way back to when they spied on his campaign, then Mueller, then impeachment, then 14th Amendment, then raid his home, then 4 indictments. Just it's never going to stop. So it's just who the left is today. So I don't think it makes that much of a difference, frankly, because all 4 of these cases are so ridiculous. The Fani Willis case is falling apart. The case in Florida on the classified documents issue falling apart with Judge Cannon's ruling. The immunity decision, I think, is causing the one in D.C. to fall apart, so he tries the superseding indictment. And, of course, we know how ridiculous the Bragg case is up there with Judge Merchan, whose daughter is making millions of dollars, and yet he presides over the trial. You got to be kidding me. Yep, and it continues.
The election meddling, including on ballots across the country. They're trying to keep RFK on the ballot as we speak, even though he's not even running for office anymore.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Lord.
Congressman Jordan, tracking all of it. Thank you very much for your time today, sir. All right, back to the phones we go. We've got Mike calling in from Sunshine, line 1. Hello, Mike. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Hey, Vince. Thanks for taking my call. I saw your discussion with Tucker Carlson on most of it. That was great.
Well, thank you very much. I had a great time. That was so cool to do.
Yeah, well, real quick, this Zuckerberg letter, I don't know whether it's just simply brand maintenance, public relations.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of us conservatives that deleted Facebook a long time ago, and maybe he's figuring that out.
Right.
Or is he handicapping the election? I don't know. He thinks now that Trump might win more than Kamala, and he's apologizing for putting the screws to conservatives 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think part of this is he's detecting the writing on the wall, which it looks very likely that President Trump is set to win this election. So the last thing he needs is to have an enemy out of President Trump and the Republicans. That's part of it. We will see. We will see. But they're clearly maneuvering. This isn't just like a final admission. I saw, Mike, that CNN is mad about it, though, and some of these other networks, they're writing headlines, "Oh, this is a gift to Republicans. Look at Mark Zuckerberg giving a gift to Republicans." No, I think Mark Zuckerberg is detecting that people are sick of Democrats, and he'd like to not be on the receiving end of their ire.
Yeah, and it's a data point. This letter is a data point that maybe Trump is. He believes Trump is ahead, like some of Las Vegas. He's handicapping this.
Yes. Well, look at the available surveys. I keep seeing all the numbers coming out. If the race is, quote, neck and neck in national polling, and a lot of it is, Trump wins the election. If it's up to the voters, if they actually make this decision as of today, Trump wins this election. And so Zuckerberg is looking at that and having that realization too. Mike, thank you.
Yeah.
You're totally right. You never look at this and go, oh, okay, well, he's fine now. No, that's not. There's a reason he released a letter to this effect. It's a big message. A big message. Coming up, we get another message, a different message, very different message from the Gold Star families. Who were with President Trump on Monday. They're watching all of this news transpire today, attacking President Trump and his campaign for his visit to Arlington National Cemetery. They'd like to say their piece, so I'll let them. Coming up next here on the Vince Coglianese Show. Good afternoon to you. It is 5:35 here on News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we are making sense of the news. You can join us today, 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Earlier this week, President Trump paid his respects for the fallen 13 American service members who died at Abbey Gate, now 3 years ago this week, in Afghanistan during the disastrous withdrawal orchestrated by the Biden-Harris administration. And it was a touching event this Monday to see the president there alongside the Gold Star families, a somber one. But since then, the left has taken to attacking that event and acting as if it was President Trump and his team who were discourteous and irreverent while they were there. An NPR report today claiming that the Trump campaign staff were verbally and physically attacking members of the staff of the Arlington National Cemetery. That's the claim NPR is advancing using an anonymous source. For more on this subject and the events of this week, actually, as they actually transpired, I want to bring in two of the Gold Star family members. One of them is Christy Shamblin. She's the Gold Star mother-in-law to Marine Sergeant Nicole G. Christy, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate this, and I heard your excellent call this morning with Chris Plant, too. I'm so glad you called into that and that show. And I also want to welcome in Darin Hoover. He's a Gold Star father of Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover. Sir, good to have you on the show, too.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Always nice to talk to you. I want to begin with how this all got set up. I just want to take things chronologically, if I could. Darin, I know that you were very involved in the planning for this to be able to obviously get the families together as you do each year, but to also get President Trump to come. Tell us, Darin, how this got set up and what sort of obstacles you encountered along the way.
Sure. So for the past 3 years now, we've all been doing the wreath-laying ceremony at Arlington, at the Tomb of the Unknown, in the names of all of our kids. This year, we decided, since President Trump has been so good to us as the families of the 13, that we would extend an invitation to him to join us at that event. It wasn't political in nature, not by any stretch of the imagination. This was all in wanting him there. He's been beside us. He's been with us throughout the time, but especially in the last year when we've been going and testifying before Congress and all that. So, excuse me, for him to be able to come and honor our kids and stand alongside us in one of the most solemn and intimate things with our families that we're able to do was very generous on his part. Now, keep in mind, we asked him. He didn't come to us wanting it. We asked him. Throughout the time there doing that, or throughout the time leading up to the actual event, there was pushback from Arlington and saying initially that they didn't want him there, that they couldn't make it happen. All kinds of stuff like that.
So you told Arlington National Cemetery your intention was to welcome the former president, and someone there expressed to you that that can't happen?
Yes, that was expressed on a couple of different occasions, not to me personally, but to an individual who has been by our side from day one, and trying to help us find these answers. He was basically the construct of all of this. He extended the invitation for us, and it was reciprocated. And so, yes, Arlington pushed back. It came down to, and forgive me, I don't remember which day it was, either a week ago today, possibly tomorrow. It came down and said, no, we can't do this. And so Kelly, Taylor's mother, and I got on the phone with Chairman Nicole of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and asked him to intervene in all of this. And from there, it was taken up the chain, and I don't know how far, other than Speaker Johnson was made aware of it. And between those two, Congressman Waltz, Congressman Issa, Congressman Mills, Congressman Mast, who are all, those last four are all Army and have served over in Afghanistan, so they understand, the pain that we're going through. Through whatever means they came up with, Arlington relented and allowed us to go forward with the ceremony.
Did anyone ever indicate to you, the Gold Star families, that President Trump wouldn't be allowed to accompany you to the grave sites of your children?
Not to me, no.
Okay.
No.
But you're telling me that that this had to get up to at least the Speaker of the House to make it possible to allow President Trump to accompany you to those grave sites. And you were inviting President Trump to be there.
Correct.
Okay.
That is 100% correct.
Okay. So Christy Shamblin also on the phone with us, as I mentioned. She's, again, the mother-in-law of Marine Sergeant Nicole G. Christy, give us a sense of what it was like this week on Monday with the president.
It was wonderful, and thank you for having us on. It was respectful and somber. We had communicated, just like Darin said, with the Trump team, as they have always been in my experiences with them. They want our wishes to be honored, and they're always making sure that those wishes are honored. And we did invite them, to Arlington to share with them the peace we find there. And it's a beautiful place our children are laid to rest at, and so many other heroes alongside of them. They were very respectful. It was a beautiful event. And, the anniversary of their death is always difficult, but this one at least had a little bit of a silver lining to it.
With President Trump there in attendance, we've seen pictures of him posing with families. I believe, I think both of you, did you both pose with President Trump while you were there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and so that was at your request. You wanted to be there and have photographs taken. Is that correct?
Correct. And if I may interject on that one, like you and I discussed on the phone earlier, we don't get to make those memories with our kids anymore. All we have is being able to go back and visit them in Arlington. And other Gold Star families are the same way. They don't get to make those memories with their loved ones. And so we take any opportunity that we can in order to give our kids the respect and the decency and the honor that they deserve. They're heroes. I don't care about anything else. Our kids are heroes. They're all heroes that are in that cemetery. And to be able to make those memories with President Trump made it all that much better, at least for our family. And I'm sure Christy will say the same. And Ryan Knauss's mother and dad will say the same. They were on the phone at separate times with President Trump while he was at the gravesite. And, what a moving, sincere show of devotion to our kids and to us as their families.
Christy, I assume you share that view.
Very much so. Absolutely. It was an honor. We felt nothing but respect and, honor to have him there and to be speaking about our kids. He took the same kind of time that he had in Bedminster, speaking to our family members and speaking about their relationship with the person that we're never going to see again. And then he went on to take time to speak with our wounded warriors that were there with us. And the time that somebody takes when, it doesn't benefit them, I think is really powerful to what their character is.
In all of this, I've noticed that, unfortunately, the lion's share of the news coverage this week on that event seems to have come out in the last 24 hours, because now we've got this NPR piece and all of these legacy news outlets. They're all coming out and they're acting as if President Trump's campaign staff caused some sort of disrespectful scene at that event. I'll start with you, Darin Hoover, on this. Did you see anything amounting to any sort of drama while you were there?
No, none whatsoever. We all went up to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We were briefed on how it would go. President Trump entered in, and he was briefed on how it would go. Then we did the wreath-laying ceremony there for Taylor and Nicole and the Abbey Gate 13. And then we went down, we loaded up in a bus, went down to the graveside, and we were all out of the bus and standing there when President Trump got out of his motorcade and came up to us. I saw nothing. I heard nothing. It was again, a very solemn, very cherished moment that we were able to have with the president. I wish so bad that the people of this country could see the man that we see. Christy alluded to being at Bedminster. I've had the opportunity, my family's had the opportunity to go down to Mar-a-Lago as well. We were at the RNC with him. Yes, that one was political, but we were treated with nothing but dignity, respect, and honor. And it has been from day one with the man. He's all about family. Obviously, he's got a large family, and he embraces us. And to have those wounded warriors and some of the other men and women that were there at the gate with them was, like Christy said, very, very powerful. Two of them catastrophically wounded that will never, ever be the same again physically. And, to have them stand with us and us stand with them is a moment that none of us will soon forget.
Christy, what do you want people to know about, first of all, the events of this week, but about President Trump and of course the children, the service members that you were there to honor?
Yeah, for the American people, I think that this is a primary example of how many media outlets and the media that kind of the masses is getting is twisted and warped, and it's not based in reality. And that's what they have done to President Trump. When I met him, I was shocked at the person I met, because I really expected to meet somebody, that I had seen portrayed everywhere. And who I met is a real human being who has empathy and really cares about our soldiers, cares about our men and women in uniform, cares about trying to make a change so that these kind of tragedies don't happen again. And, we've just been completely blacklisted and had dead silence from the current administration. And all we're looking for is to try to make change so this doesn't happen to more families.
I realize there's one more question I want to make sure that I get to here. Darin Hoover, if I can, with you first, sir. The President Biden's White House put out a statement this week, and I believe this is the first time that he, in any format, and this is a printed format, has mentioned the names of the 13. What did you think of this statement coming out 3 years later?
Disgusting, in all honesty. We have wanted and sent letters through my governor, through congressmen, and through senators to have a sit down with that administration. We have gotten nothing from them in the entire 3 years leading up to what happened on Monday. And we put the pressure on them. We're not going away. We've said time and time and time again that they've never even spoken our children's names, let alone said anything else to us. And for them to come out now, it's basically tone deaf to me. My governor was there at the gravesite and at the wreath laying up at the Tomb of the Unknown.
Spencer Cox of Utah.
Yes, correct. And he had sent a letter the day before requesting a sit down for us to be with President Biden and to be with Vice President Harris. And even to right now, there has been nothing, zero, come out of that White House or any of the rest of the administration as far as getting back to us and saying, hey, we're sorry, we can't do it today. Let's set up another time.
Yes.
Or anything, or even denying it, flat out denying it. They just said nothing.
Christy Shamblin, final thoughts to you.
I echo everything Darin said. We've had zero communication from the Biden administration, and all we're really trying to do is make change for the future.
Yeah.
And we really just, it's disappointing when you don't have, everybody in positions of elected offices helping you do that.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, I'm so grateful for the time that you both gave me today here on the program, and for the lives of your children who serve this great country and pay the ultimate sacrifice. Christy Shamblin, Darin Hoover, God bless you both. Thank you very much. What you just heard contained, I think, quite a bit of news. And this story in Arlington just got a lot bigger. Some level of the Biden administration throwing barriers up to try and stop Trump, according to the Gold Star families. It took the Speaker of the House intervening to even make it happen at all. I don't think this is the last we've heard of this story. Stay with us here on WMAL. The great one, Mark Levin, up next.